Okay, so hi y'all, I'm back. I decided to do more videos because I realized that um, the videos aren't cohesive enough. It's a little bit sporadic. There's videos here, there's videos there. I'm telling my story. People still aren't understanding. I keep getting flack, a lot of flack, that she had to have done something wrong for her children to be removed. Well, no, I've never done anything wrong but seek safety in this country that seems to be hell bent on black people not having safety. And I hate to say it, but that's how I feel. So I'm just going to say how I feel. And for those people who are giving me all this flack saying that, this doesn't happen, um, it's impossible, you had to have went to court, this, that, and the other. I'm here telling you now that it does happen. This is America. I did not ever get a chance to hear for my story to be heard in court at all. I was basically told this was going to happen, this is what happened, and this is what you need to do. And my life was threatened by the police. My son was beat up by the police. I know it's very hard to believe for people. People aren't believing me. Um, but it's the truth. So here I am. I'm going to this time tell my story again, but offer you the paperwork that goes along with my story so that you can tell that I am not lying. I have no reason to lie. I mean, I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I'm definitely not dumb, and I know that I have rights, and I have constitutional rights, and I have rights as a parent, I have rights as a person, and this type of stuff should not be happening to me. I actually spoke with, during all of this, I've been to a lot of people. I spoke with Madam Sushma Patel, who was the foreign prime minister of foreign affairs, and she told me this. And I'll get into that part of the story probably a little bit later. But she said this to me. She said that my services, Shireen, honey, are reserved for people in countries like Sudan and Pakistan, and that this type of stuff does not happen to Americans. There are safeguards against this. And then that's when I was introduced to the special India ladies domestic violence centers. But that's a whole nother part of the story. I am going to go right from the beginning and let you guys, give you guys the information that you guys can follow a lot easier. Hopefully this works. Hopefully someone hears this and gives me the help that I need. This has been a terribly ridiculous situation. It's been scary. Um, it's been depressing, and I need help. So I'm asking you guys to help me. I'm calling out to the United States. I'm calling out to everybody. I'm calling out to my community. I'm calling out to black people. Stand with me. I'm calling out to people who are defenders of black people to stand up with me. This is injustice, and this type of injustice needs to stop in this country. I am not the only one, and I am definitely probably not the worst case, but I definitely need help. So here we go. Now, I'm going to have you guys start at the video that's in my playlist. It says it all starts here. And this is the video of the dash cam, or the body cam, of the police officers that I was given a copy of by a journalist who told me to get out of the state of Alabama when he gave me this, and to hold on to this disc with your life because you're going to need it. I understand now why he told me this. I didn't understand then. A lot of my story is I understand now, but I didn't understand then. But here we go. So you're going to start with the Nevada cop block video where it says woman is arrested for saying fuck the police. Now also, if you go there, I want you to go to Nevada cop block itself and read the story, because they did try to help me. But I was called fat, black, ugly, and it the help didn't come. This was at the very beginning. But anyway, my son was beat up in front of me. Imagine that. Imagine being a mom and seeing your 16-year-old son handcuffed. A tear rolled down my boy's eyes as these police officers are punching, kicking him. They grabbed his head and they bashed it against this locker a few times. I'm in a cell, and all I can do is scream, stop, stop, please, let him go, stop. I'm screaming to the top of my lungs trying to get these officers off my son while I'm watching from this window. They push him into a corner, and I hear, I could kill you in here, and there is nothing anyone can do. I went ape shit. in that cell at that very moment. It was a very emotional time. It was very, very hard. Then the same police officer called me names, called me nigger, and called me a prima donna Yankee princess and all kinds of ugly stuff. But okay, that was the past. So I want you to start at that video. What you don't see in that video is my son getting beat up. There was another video where you see the precursor to my son getting beat up, but YouTube has taken it down. I think the man that is in the video complained. So this, in that video that's been taken down, you can see my husband Shalish Tana and a patron of the store concoct a story saying that my son had a gun and that he said all this awful stuff, and then the police went after him. This is already after I was hauled off to jail, incarcerated, and I'm crying looking for the children. This happened in May of 2015. Now, people say then that I should not have ran and left. I shouldn't have ran and left with the children. Well, that happened in 2015. Me and my son went to court. I was found guilty. His charges were dropped. But the police were still harassing us. Yeah, he was beaten up. My son was beaten up. I was from New York, okay, in this situation, after my son was beaten up and I was held on bail. I was from New York, so it took a lot to get me out on bail. My son actually, it was my son that got me out. He called every bail bondsman in Alabama. They all refused to bail me out because on my paperwork it stated that I was from New York, which I was. And this is going to be important later on. This is why I'm telling you this. I was from New York. I had just got there. I had found out that my husband had another wife in India. If you see that, I report that. And I'm trying to report it to INS. INS is telling me that we have to report it to the local authorities. They can't do anything until the local authorities have been reported, and the local authorities have to take over after that. Local authorities at that time was refusing to let me report it. They're saying that I was the aggressor in that situation. I'm trying to get out of there because Shalish Tana is threatening to kill me. He actually choked me by my neck during the time I was on bail. He raped me while I was on bail. A lot of ugly stuff happened while I was held on bail. He beat Sainath while I was on bail. And so I go to court after being held 6 months on bail. I go to court. I was charged guilty. I sold my car so that I can pay the fine, the guilty fine. So I no longer had a vehicle, but he had his vehicle. So I paid the $900 and something fine, sold my car so I could pay the $900 and something fine. Right after I paid the $900 and something fine, after being held, remember I was held 6 months on bail. I was from New York. No bail bondsman from Alabama wanted to bail me out except for this really nice black guy. He's still in business down there, y'all. Support this man because he's a good man. He bailed me out. He stuck with me. He was like, sister, you don't look like you're going anywhere. I'm going to go ahead and bail you out. You got to promise me you won't leave. I called him every week. So I was held. I couldn't leave the state of Alabama. I'm trying to pursue the issue of him having another wife and press charges against marriage fraud, but I'm not able to do that. No matter what I do, nobody's listening to me. I'm calling INS. INS is telling me to call the local department. The local department is telling me they're not doing anything. I'm going to court, trying to navigate the court, and trying to navigate Ashton's court. And his beating and get help with that. I started working with Black Lives Matter. A bunch of stuff went on. But anyway, that's the past. That's the first video, the Nevada cop block video. The next video I want you guys to see is the videos that are right underneath that. Now, 570, the video that's titled 570, that happened on March 1st. Because he threw... Okay, so backing up. After he threw Shivani right after I paid the fine. Right after I sold my car, paid the fine for being guilty of the disorderly conduct that you saw in the first video, and my son getting beat up. We took care of court with that. I paid the fine. A few days after I paid the fine, he throws Shivani across the room. He was going to punch her. And I stood up and said, "Don't you hit her." And he picks her up full of anger and he tosses my baby across the room. I knew then and there that he's dangerous and I have to get out of here. So he leaves the house. And I'm afraid to call the Millbrook, Alabama Police Department. I am definitely afraid of these people because they have been watching me, harassing me, saying that I was beating him up. And I think I told that story in another video. I had paid the fine, but still things weren't right. Every time the Millbrook police came out, I was the one who was the aggressor. I was the one who was the bad person. I was the one beating up on him, even though he was the one beating up on me. I could not say nothing to these people to the fact that he was beating me, he was beating my children, and every time I called them, they told me, no, it's not him, it's you. And I'm saying, and even my children are saying, no, it's him. You see what he's doing to us. And if you see in one of my videos, my son says, you guys see, this is what he does to us. He does this to us all the time. And he's saying that because we keep telling these people that we're living in abuse and that we need to get out of here, that he's doing these things. He was selling pills, prescription pills. We reported that. Nobody would do anything. Marriage fraud. We reported that. Nobody would do anything. And he was beating us. Nobody would do anything. I'm saying, yeah, he's dangerous. He just hurt the baby of us. I know he's dangerous. I have to get out of here. So afraid to call the Millbrook Police Department, I called the state troopers because I was constantly being harassed by the Millbrook Police Department. I called the state troopers, and when you see 570, that is when they sent the very police officers that had beaten my son to my house. Now, what you don't see in that video, and I know it looks really crazy, I look like I'm out of my mind because I am really deathly afraid. What you don't see in that video, as that video is started, they broke into my house. I did not open the door and let those police officers in. That video starts when I sit down in my chair. They break into my house and I try to run out the back door. I couldn't get out the back door of my house. I'm trying to run out because they're breaking in. They're coming in through the front door. They broke in. I'm trying to run out the back door. My children were outside playing and secured. No, they're in the house. And the girls were at their friend's house. So I tried to run outside so I can get away from these police officers because I'm afraid of them. They had already beaten up my son. They broke into my home. I had at that point just calmed down and said, you know what? I might be tripping. Let me sit down and talk to these officers. I sit down in that orange chair that you see me sitting on, and that officer that's standing in front of me, and I think that's Officer Reed. And it plays into a part because this will come into play later on. But I'm not sure if that's Officer Reed or not, but I think that is Officer Reed. He puts two hands on each side of my chair and was leaned into me like this. He had leaned so close into me that the little round ball thingy that was on his waist was dangling in front of me. So I'm looking down and I can see dangling in front of me is his little circle thing. I'm scared. I lean back. I see my phone on the side of me. I reach over on that table and I pick up my phone and I hit record. What you guys see is after I pick up my phone, they all take 3 steps back and stand there silent. So I look like I'm frantic and crazy, but what on the video, but what you guys do not see is the fact that they broke into my home and chased me down. When I tried to calm down, sit down and talk to them, that's when they hit my hand. His hand was on either side of the chair, and Officer Youngblood walks into the house. So I started recording as the one officer is on my chair. Then Officer Youngblood walks into my house, and that's where you see the video pick up at. But I'm gonna let you guys know that happened on March 1st, because as I read in the next video, I'm gonna cut this one short. As I read the other stuff, you'll understand why these dates are important. Now, March 1st, Officer Youngblood was in my house, and I'm begging him to leave. I'm screaming and crying. I sound crazy. I really do. I sound crazy, but I'm telling you the truth. I was afraid, and I have been afraid of the Millbrook police for a long time. So now, that was March 1st. Now, the very next day, I called the shelter. The shelter calls the mayor and everybody she can get her hands on in Alabama to get me some help. Because she's like, this is crazy. Child Protective Services won't help you. You called them, we called them, they won't help you. She said, the police, they're not trying to give you but you got to get a police report. You got to get this documented. They're not trying to give it to you. So she calls around everybody. She calls the Family Sunshine Center. She calls everybody she can think of. And then they send someone else out. And that's March 2nd. And you'll see 571 is March 2nd. Okay? So now, people are saying you shouldn't just up and leave Alabama. You shouldn't have you can't just up and leave with kids. Well, I was being abused. The children were being abused. And the police were threatening my life. I didn't know what else to do but to go home. Shelter in New York tried to get me help. It's called Shelter in Place. The police refused to shelter me in place. They called all around. They called every domestic violence center. They even called the Family Sunshine Center for me. And this is the documentation from the Family Sunshine Center. And I'm going to read this letter to you, and then I'm going to cut this video for the next one. Now, this says to Judge Bradstreet, and this was dated June 9th of 2016, because I needed to document the fact that I tried to get help everywhere in Alabama and no place would help. Okay, it says to Judge Bradstreet, this letter is written to confirm that Shireen Tana contacted the Family Sunshine Crisis Line for shelter services on June 1st, 2015. That's when I found out he had another wife in India. But they could not give me services because the Millbrook, Alabama police said that I was the aggressor in that situation and I could not escape. So I was held in abuse. And when I was held in abuse and without any help, the abuse that I suffered over the years that was sporadic turned into a living hell. A living hell. And also on March 1st and 2nd of 2016. Now, mind you, I called on the March 1st and 2nd of 2016, looking for help for domestic violence abuse, police abuse. I was looking for safety. No one could give it to me in Alabama. I had to save myself. So me and my children, well, my child had saved enough money. Ashton had saved enough money to get me and his brothers and sisters on a bus to New York to the Domestic Violence Center. The Domestic Violence Center, after being able to secure the report being written, which you see that they come out and said you can't pick and choose who comes out to make the report, this, that, and the other. The report was written. Officer Knapp, I do have a video that I can't get to upload for some odd reason, but Officer Knapp turns off her camera. She's sent back out after the 571 video. She sent back out to tell me the rate. I guess I don't know whether she was sent or whether she came, but she comes back out to the house and she talks to me. She has me turn off my camera. I turn on and she turns off hers, and she tells me exactly what's going on with me and to leave the state. Me and the kids packed up what we could, but like I told you, after I was held on bail and he knew that I was secured for him to do whatever he wanted to me, the abuse was horrendous. We didn't even have clean clothes. We didn't have clean sheets. I had nothing to take with me. Everything was dirty. When I say dirty, it was filthy dirty, unwearable dirty. So I packed up what we could. Ashton's friend came and picked us up, made 2 trips from Millbrook, Alabama to Montgomery, Alabama's bus stop, and dropped us off there. Human traffickers didn't take us. That's the lie that they're going to tell. And they told a bunch of lies. And I'm here today. I'm going to prove in paperwork that these people are lying on me. I am innocent. I have been hunted. I have been abused. I have been abused by my husband. I've been abused by the system. My children are missing. They might not be missing to everyone's standards, but they are missing to me because no family nor friends have had any contact with them. And the only contact or any word that we have heard has been from his girlfriend, Angela Collins. And it's been nasty messages about abuse, sexual abuse going on in the home, and that's all we've heard since June.